So we're ready here to test this little rig and see if I can get some remote detonation going off. It's not remote per se, but it's a cable detonation. So of course I've got all my PPEs, I got my glasses, I got my ear things, and we've got a 30-foot cable here. And so we're gonna give this a try and see if this little remote detonator idea will work. And using a rocket motor igniter and seeing if we can get the effect we're looking for. So let's take this little key and stick it in the hole, and we'll have to push down this button first and the light comes on. Okay, so we have continuity. And here we go. Nothing. I don't even know that the igniter went off. To be continued. What I think was happening was the casing was grounding out or shorting out the system. So I took some electrical tape and wrapped it around the leads where I crimped down the shell casing, and so that there's no electrical contact between the shell casing and the igniter. So I'm going to try this again and see if we have some success. So the key is in there, and the button is depressed, and we have continuity, and here goes nothing. Yep, that worked. Greetings and salutations on this gray and gloomy, although somewhat warmer, March 2nd, Saturday, March 2nd, 2024. And I'm going to do my video now, because why the hell not? Anyway, so yesterday I spent all day Friday fashioning together the main support post that runs the length of the greenhouse, and so that's going to support the arches in the middle and make sure all the rain falls away and keeps everything relatively stable. And of course the center post, which is what I built last weekend, is stable and sturdy. I also spent a good amount of time yesterday stabilizing that because pallets are great, but without proper supports they can get a little leany, wobbly, if you will. And so this has a lot less wobble to it and is more secure. So I put these 6 struts in, joists, whatever you call them. Anyway, so I've fastened those up together, and it started raining yesterday evening, so I had to wrap up. So anyway, the center porch is done, and so I'm about ready to start putting up the arches. So I'm gonna have to go to the hardware store this week and buy a whole bunch of 1-inch PVC and couplings so that I can build another greenhouse just like that one. Except this one's a little bit better because the pallets are not on the ground; they're on the cement blocks that I've laid some years ago for the very first experimental greenhouse, which the new pallet greenhouse is on the deathbed of the old experimental greenhouse. And I think it's going to work out real nice. If it's anything as good as the new pallet greenhouse, or I guess the old pallet greenhouse, then I think it'll be very pleasant. And I'll have to show you the progress in the hydroponic system. I did get the hydroponic system completed. I found some perlite, so I mixed that with the vermiculite and found some 2-inch solo cups and got those all filled up. I got all the hydroponic tubes set up. But today since we're furthering endeavors on the beaver dam demolitions, I have set up to create some time delay fuse. And so I will put a link to the King of Random YouTube channel, who instructed me on how to do this. And this is very simple, very, very simple, but not terribly effective. This is actually the second coating. It wasn't terribly effective because I failed the first time. I should have used 60% potassium nitrate and 40% sugar instead of, I think I wound up doing basically the opposite. I did not use any precision measurement tools, unfortunately, but this is a second coat, which is much closer to 60% KNO3 and 40% sugar. So anyway, I cooked that in the pan just a few minutes ago, and I'm hanging it out to dry, and I'll try that later. Today's little experiment is going to be the production of a blasting cap, a small detonator. And so this is a 22 rimfire cartridge, and Ragnar Benson publishes a homemade explosives manual where they go through, it's kind of like the anarchist cookbook, where they go through all these interesting methodologies of producing what commercial industry produces, but we don't have access to. So fuck the commercial industry. Let's be good Americans and know how to do this ourselves. So I've packed this with some TATP, and so that's going to be the detonator for a test charge of ANFO. And I'm also going to be testing it with this. This is a model rocket engine igniter. So I'm going to place this right in here, and then I will I'll plug the electrodes for the model rocket igniter device here, which I picked up from a buddy of mine, Frank, in Raleigh, and his dad owns Nick's Train Shop, which is a huge outfit. They really produce a lot of train stuff, hobby stuff, all that kind of stuff, and very neat outfit. Anyway, so this being packed with TATP as the primary charge, I will take some. I'll take some vice grips or even pliers or something, and crimp the end of that, and then I'm going to take that and place it into a small charge that has been, well, fuck, it's all wet again because of rain. Stupid rain. Well, that's not going to work. So now I have some ANFO that's been rained on again. And so anyway, so in order to test this whole process, I'm going to use this as my testing charge and see if my little homemade detonator idea works. Once again, this is not an original idea of mine. It's something I got off of Ragnar Benson's Homemade Explosives Manual. I'll put a link to that in the description as well. And so hopefully the little detonating cap that I created will detonate the ANFO, because ANFO, of course, requires a high explosive to detonate, or not a high explosive, but a primary explosive, an explosive that burns faster than the speed of sound. And so anyway, yeah, I guess that's about it. Oh, you're going to see everybody down in the greenhouse. The hydroponic system is doing well. And, the kale from last week's experiment. The kale and the cabbage are doing well. The kale have already made their turn towards the sun. And if anybody paid any attention at all, which, I don't know, I don't check my analytics, particularly care, but I laid down the kale last week from their upright position in the pots. The pots were situated here in this bin, and so I just took the pots and laid them down flat, and in the hopes that these kale would make their turn towards the sun. And as you can see, they certainly have. All of them have, and so they're all starting to grow up now. And so I'm going to bury the rest of that and just let these grow, and just let them grow and grow and grow. As you see, my cabbages are starting to globe, and they look real happy. I think they're very pleased with the new setup here. They've got plenty of room to grow. And Oh, let's see. Everybody in the hydroponic system is doing well. I've proved the concept that you can germinate seeds in the Pisswasser. So we got fresh germination, and I'm still working out the details as to whether or not it would be best to have these cups full before I actually germinate seed, which this, oh goody, or leave them down low. And what I'm finding, if I leave them down low, it seems like the plants grow pretty slow, and perhaps they're not getting enough sun. But then again, it is also winter time, so they might be getting really cold at night, and it takes time to snap back. But we got lettuce growing. We got my kale transplant from over in the bins, and everybody looks pretty happy. Got fresh seedlings, so that's coming along. Everybody looks vibrant. I think the Pisswasser is doing a wonderful job. It is a fine hydroponic solution, and to stir things up, I don't have any pumps. This is the Kratky method. I will just usually once a week, I'll lift this up on one side and just let the water resettle, and that's enough to stir up the solution. And at some point in time, I'll probably put some circulating pumps in here, and keep things so that all the nutrients don't settle out of solution and into the bottom. I filled all these bottom ones last week. I don't see any sprouts yet, but I have not given a good examination today. I took a look at them on Thursday when I arrived, but all 4 of these are now full. All the cups are full. These top 3 racks are ready for seed planting. And yeah, everything's still standing and happy, and it's nice and warm and toasty here in the greenhouse. Just another glorious weekend in the pursuit of freedom and independence. This is the old info charge, or rather tannerite charge, that I tried to set off last time in the beaver dam, and it got all soaked with water. And so I've set it here in the greenhouse so it can dry, and you can see it's actually starting to recrystallize the ammonium nitrate. So I don't know what the hell is going to happen with this, but we're going to find out, and it'll be on video. So that being said, it's been a wet weekend. We got lots and lots of rain last night, and as you can see, everything's all soaked. And because I have not succeeded in demolishing the beaver dam, everything out here will probably remain soaked for a pretty good period of time. It does appear, however, that the beavers are still present. They have done some work on one of the trees out here, which I guess I'll take you to go see. So I'm going to put you on pause. Actually, I'm going to take you off of pause and just talk. I don't know, kind of like those Max Egan videos. I like Max Egan's rantings about the state of the world and all that kind of stuff. And but the nature stroll is always a pleasant thing to enjoy. And if you're stuck on YouTube or something along those lines in the house, maybe you could use a nature stroll. So let's take a stroll and jam out about life, the universe, and everything, I guess. Well, right now the universe is wet. Let's see what's going on in the world today. Lots of stuff. There's always lots of stuff going on. I don't know how much it really. I don't know. It makes you wonder how much it really matters. You know, I've participated in lots of protest activities and written Congress and Senate, and gotten involved with all this government affairs and stuff. And I don't know. It seems like things have progressed so far now, and even by the time I was born, that I don't think I have a strange thought. Before I was born, when you sit down and you meditate and you start asking yourself a question, well, what do I remember from existence before I was born into this life? And I've had all kinds of fascinating revelations. And of course, it could just be batshit craziness, but those thoughts are there, and it makes you wonder. So what it seems like, I came here to conduct a revolution in order to prevent the extinction of a species. this human species, I think. Although we might not even be humans, we might be something else that's a multitude of generations after the original human species, the giants, I guess, Anunnaki, if you will, something along those lines. But anyway, throughout the course of life, you sort of discover that, well, there's no changing the nature of a species. And that's an unfortunate part about being a man living on this earth, is to come and realize certain unpalatable truths about being human. And we humans are subject to something I've come to call arrogant ignorance. And arrogant ignorance is a very self-destructive perspective, because we humans have a particular knack and affinity for killing one another, or torturing one another, or doing horrible things out of positions of ignorance that we're not even academically correct about. And of course, in my particular instance, I'm a cannabis crusader. I've been a cannabis crusader since I was 14, and all stemmed from me and the old neighborhood kids, man. We used to hang out, and we'd hang out in the woods in the neighborhood, and we'd sit there and have bonfires, and we'd shoot the shit and have a nice time. And at some point, we all got into smoking weed. And smoking weed is a beautiful thing. There's not a damn thing wrong with smoking weed. But I didn't want to just be a pothead, and I thought about it for myself for a little while and decided I was going to learn about this thing that I was using. I didn't just want to, just be a stoner and completely ignorant of it. And so I started reading. I started learning about cannabis, and I started out like everybody else, having bought the indoctrination line that marijuana is a dangerous drug. Blah. And, I was of that opinion for a long time, up until almost 15 years later. It was really 2009 when I had my crossover, and what I called my threshold of understanding. My threshold of understanding changed when I read the 2006 Dr. Donald Tashkin study, federally funded, of course, called Marijuana and Lung Cancer. And this study called Marijuana and Lung Cancer was funded by the federal government to use science to establish a correlation between the smoking of cannabis and the instance of lung cancer, or the incidence of lung cancer. And what they found was a negative correlation. What they found was that people who smoke, they measured these in joint years. I'd have to go back to the original work to define a joint year for you, but I think it was 1 joint a day for a duration of a year. And okay, we got a little bit of washout here, but what they found was that people who smoke enormous amounts of pot, and we're talking about 60 joint years, so 6 joints a day for 20 years, had statistically fewer cancers than the control group. And the control group were, of course, people who smoked nothing at all. No cigarettes, no weed, no nothing. And so that's when the cannabis cancer research really started kicking in. And that's also when my real transition to being of the mind that cannabis is not bad for you, but no, in fact, cannabis is good for you, really started to beginning to take root. And of course, I've always protested the right to use cannabis. And I learned early on to mitigate my usage of cannabis, because one thing all the friends used to do when we'd sit around the campfire is they'd pass the bowl and pass the bowl and pass the bowl, and you hit it again and again and again and again. And before I knew it, I was just kind of lost in my head, and I couldn't really converse or function. You get stoned. And that's not, it's not all that much fun. So I became a one-hit wonder and started using cannabis in a much more moderate sense. and have found much greater benefit that way. But moreover, I've discovered that adding cannabis to the diet is probably the single greatest thing you can do for your body. Is just start eating it, and cooking with cannabis butter and cannabis oils and all that sort of stuff, and you get into the human anatomy and physiology, and you realize that cannabis, your body is designed to intake and metabolize cannabis, whether you know it or not, and whether you not like it or not. You were made by God to use God's most divine herb for your benefit. And it astounds me how many people are still very much ignorant to that. And it really kind of astonishes me how many people are not asking themselves why cannabis has been prohibited in the United States of America for 100 years now. And yet, despite all these prohibitions and ridiculous, arrogant ignorance on behalf of governments, the weed, at the end of the day, is still winning. And, people are not asking themselves that question. And probably because they're not using cannabis, because cannabis stimulates your thought processes. And there's a great video from the 80s or 90s. This lady is at a city council meeting or something, and she talks about cannabis and its ability to break the indoctrination system and free the mind from thinking whatever the establishment wants you to think. And of course, that's probably part of the reason people aren't asking themselves, well, why you go to jail in one state for getting caught with cannabis, but you're okay in another state? Or why are the medical establishments starting to, use cannabis but they said it was wrong for all this time? And, it's like, well, you just can't, I don't know. It's up to God to shake people out of their slumber. And, this is nothing new for me. Having been a cannabis crusader for 25, 26 years now. Let's see, since I was 14. Well, it's now 25. So that's 30 years. 30 years I've been a proponent of cannabis and have been learning about it and studying it. And, man, it's just a beautiful thing. And God put it here for a reason. And I think part of that reason is to shake some of us out of the slumber that is created by the establishment in our educational / indoctrination systems, and stimulate your free thought and connect with source, get that imagination flowing again. So, it helps to use cannabis, but I don't think it's entirely helpful to use corporate cannabis. The corporations, being what they are, seem to be organizational structures to harness the light of the light workers and to channel it towards nefarious ends. That's what it seems to me like. It's like, you get a nice startup company and they all start with great intentions and, they do good work, and then they cross a certain threshold where they become a big company. And then all of a sudden, everything goes to shit. My dad had that experience. He started with Cisco Systems, who manufactures about 80% of the routers for the internet for the entire planet now. And he started with them and RTP when they were really small. And it was a beautiful company, man. I remember being a little kid and going with my brother up there to, just hang out with him while he was doing his little engineering projects and stuff up there in the office, and just, living that family life. And then, he was able to telecommute, so he got himself a place in Tennessee and started working from home and all that sort of stuff, and just gradually became rather miserable with his work. And of course, one of my cousins had the same experience working for Amazon. I mean, he was all about computer engineering and writing software and all that sort of stuff. And he really, really thoroughly enjoyed it when he was a young man. And then he started working for Amazon, and his passion was destroyed. And that seems like what these mega corporations do, man. They take your light and they use it and they twist it, you know, to bend it to their will. And then you find yourself, you know, a light worker as you are, or whatever, you know, just a vibrant human being. And you find yourself, your soul sucked out and has been channeled towards nefarious ends that you may or may not agree with. And which really leads me further out here to the country to seize God's great abundance, which is everywhere, regardless of whether you're a corporation or not. And try and put my energies to good use for good. And get out here in nature, get out of the city, get out of the constant bombardment with wireless radiation, all that sort of stuff. And but which brings me back to the cannabis thing and cannabis corporations. Corporations are ruining the world of cannabis. So, but you know, it's something that's it's a fucking weed, so you can grow it in your backyard, and you should. And you should eat it, and you should cook with it, and you should, you know, you vaporize it, smoke it, do whatever, you know, albeit moderately. But, you know, that's the funny thing about it is it doesn't matter how much cannabis you take in, your body is going to metabolize it the same way as a medicine, as a useful substance that it can use to optimize its own functions. And that's what cannabis is. The CB1, CB2 receptors in the human body are perhaps the most prolific receptors in the human body. And that's what cannabis binds to and activates those receptors and lets them function and work well and proceed to creating a healthy environment for your soul to reside in as we traverse this material world and enjoy the great gift of God's abundance. So, you know, stay away from corporations, or use their refuse to build yourself up a life, and hopefully in a more aesthetically pleasing fashion than what I've done. But hey, it works. Anyway, I guess that's enough ranting for today. So thanks for joining me, everybody. I hope you're having a kick-ass weekend, and somebody's in the house. Oh, we got a bird in here? It wouldn't be the first time. Who do I hear stirring around? Let's go find out. Maybe it's upstairs. Oh, yep, sure is. Hey, bird. Welcome to YouTube. Hey, little buddy. All right. Well, enjoy the peace of nature, folks. Get outside if you can. I'm going to rescue this little animal from the invisible window. So, that being said, God bless, Godspeed, be well.